Chapter 28. Sparrow Drawn to Shirdi. First one is Lakanchan, second one is Burhanpur Lady, third one is Megha. Preliminary. Sai is not finite or limited. He dwells in all beings, from ants and insects to God Brahma. He pervades all. Sai was well versed in knowledge of Vedas as well as the science of self-realization. As he was proficient in both these, he was well fitted to be the Sadguru. Anyone though learned but not been able to awaken the disciples and establish themselves in self-realization does not deserve to be called a Sadguru. Generally, the father gives birth to the body and death invariably follows life. But Sadguru does away with both life and death, so he is more kind and merciful than anybody. Sai Baba often said that let this man be at 1,000 distance, he will be drawn to Shirdi like a sparrow with a thread tied to his feet. This chapter describes the stories of these sparrows. First one is Lala Lakanchan. This gentleman was first serving in railways and afterwards in Sri Venkateshwara Press in Bombay, and therefore in the form of Messrs. Raleigh Brothers, as a munshi, that is a clerk, he got the contract of Baba in 1910. 1 or 2 months before Christmas, he saw in his dream at Santa Cruz an old man with a bird standing and surrounded by his bhaktas. Some days later, he went to the house of his friend Mr. Dattatreya Manjunath Bijur to hear the Kirtan by Das Ganu. It was always a practice of Das Ganu to keep Baba's picture in front of the audience while making the Kirtan. Lakanchan was surprised to see that the features of the old man he saw in his dream tallied exactly with those in the picture, and thus he came to the conclusion that the old man he saw in the dream was Sai Baba himself. The sight of this picture, Das Ganu's Kirtan, and the life of Saint Tukaram, on which Das Ganu discoursed all these things, made a deep impression in his mind, and he planned to go to Shirdi. It is always the experience of the Bhaktas that God always keeps them in the search for Sadguru and other spiritual endeavors. That very night at 8 p.m., a friend named Shankar Rao knocked at his door and asked him whether he would accompany him to Shirdi. His joy knew no bounds and he at once decided to go to Shirdi. He borrowed ₹15 from his cousin, and after making the preparations for Shirdi, in the train, he and his friend Shankar Rao did some bhajan and inquired about Sai Baba with some fellow passengers. 4 Mohammedans who were returning to the place near Shirdi, they all told them that Sai Baba was a great saint living in Shirdi for many years. Then when they reached Kopargaon, he wanted to buy some good govas for offering to Baba. But he was so much enraptured with the scenery and the sight, therefore he forgot to purchase them. When they were nearing the Shirdi, he was reminded of the govas. Just then he saw an old woman with goa basket on her head. Running after the tanga was stopped and he gladly purchased some selected fruits. When the woman said, "Take all the rest and offer them on my behalf to Sai Baba." The fact that he had intended to purchase the govas but that he had forgotten to do so, and the old woman's encounter and her devotion to Baba all were a surprise to both the friends, and Lakanchan thought in his mind that the old woman might be some relation to the old man he saw in his dream. Then they drove on and came Shirdi. Seeing the flags on the masjid, they saluted them. With puja material in hand, they went to the masjid and worshipped Baba with the due formalities. Lakanchan was so much moved and was extremely happy to see Baba that he enraptured at Baba's feet as a bee with a sweet smelling lotus. Then Baba came as follows. Cunning fellow, he does bhajan on the way and inquires from others. Why ask others? Everything we should see with our own eyes. What is the necessity to question the others? Just think for yourself whether your dream is true or not. What was the necessity of the darshan by taking a loan from a Marwadi? Is this heart's desire satisfied? Hearing this verse, Lakanchan was wonderstruck at the Baba's omniscience. He was at a loss to know how Baba came to know about all these things, and that happened en route from the house to Shirdi. The chief thing to note in this respect is that Baba never liked people to get into debt for taking his darshan or celebrating any holiday or making any pilgrimage. Sanza. At noon, when Lakanchan was sitting for meals, he got some sanza, that is wheat pudding, from a devotee as prasad. He was pleased to have it. Next day, as he expected it, but got nothing. So he was anxious to get it. Then, on the third day, on the noon aarti time, Babu Sahib Jog asked Baba what naivedya he should bring. Baba told him to bring sanza. Then the bhaktas brought 2 big potful of sanza. Lakanchan was very hungry and therefore was in some pain in his back. Then Baba said to him, "It is good that you are hungry. Take sanza and take some medicine for your back pain." He was again wonderstruck to see that Baba again read his mind and spoke out what was passing therein. How omniscient was he! Evil eye. On this occasion, he once witnessed one night the procession of the Chardi. Baba then suffered much from cough. He thought that the suffering of Baba might be due to somebody's evil eye. Next morning when he went to masjid, Baba spoke to Shama as follows. "I suffered last night from cough. It is due to some evil eye." I think that somebody's evil eye had worked on me and I am suffering. In this case, Baba spoke out what was passing in Lakanchand's mind. On seeing these proofs of Baba's omniscience and kindness to his bhaktas, he felt frustrated at Baba's feet and said, I am much pleased with your darshan. Ever be kind and merciful to me and always protect me. There is no other God to me in the world except your feet. Let my mind be wrapped in your bhajan and feet. Let your grace protect me from miseries of the world and let ever chant your name and be happy. After getting Baba's Udi and blessing, he returned home with his friend, much pleased and contented, and singing Baba's glory on the way. He remained a staunch devotee of Baba afterwards and always sent garlands of flowers, camphor, and dakshina with any person of his acquaintance bound to Shirdi. Burhanpur lady. Now let us turn to another sparrow. One lady in Burhanpur saw in her dream Sai Baba coming to her door and begging khichdi, that is rice cooked with dal and salt, for his meals. On awakening, she saw nobody at the door. However, she was pleased with the vision and told it to her husband. He was employed in the postal department, and when he was transferred to Akola, both husband and wife, who were devoted, decided to go to Shirdi. Then on a suitable day, they left for Shirdi, and after visiting Gomati Tirth on the way, reached Shirdi and stayed there for 2 months. Every day when they went to the masjid, performed Baba's worship and passed the time happily. The couple came to Shirdi to offer Chadwick as Naivedya, but for the first 14 days, somehow or the other, it was not offered. The lady did not like this delay. Then on the 15th day, she came at noon to the masjid with a khichdi. There some found that Baba and others were already seated for meals, and then the curtains were down. Nobody dared enter when the curtains were let down, but the lady couldn't wait. She threw up the curtain with her hand and entered. Strange to say, Baba seemed that day hungry for khichdi and wanted that thing first, and when the lady came with a morsel of khichdi, on seeing the earnestness of Baba in this respect, everybody was wonderstruck, and those who heard the story of khichdi were convinced about his extraordinary love for his devotees. Megha. Now let us go to the third and bigger sparrow. Megha of Viramgaon was a simple and illiterate Brahmin cook of Rao Bahadur H.V. Sade. He was a staunch devotee of Shiva and always chanted the 5-syllable mantra Om Namah Shivaya. He did not know the Sandhya nor the chief mantra, that is the Gayatri. Rao Bahadur Sati was interested in him, got him taught the Sandhya and the Gayatri. Sati told him that Sai Baba Shirdi was the embodiment form of God Shiva and made him start for Shirdi. At the Broach railway station, he learned that Sai Baba was a Muslim and his simple and orthodox mind was much perturbed at the prospect of going to Muslim, and he prayed to the master not to send him there. His master, however, insisted on him to go there and gave him a letter of introduction to his Sate, that is father-in-law Ganesh Damodar alias Dada Kelkar at Shirdi, to introduce him to Sai Baba. When he reached Shirdi and went to the masjid, Baba was very indignant and did not allow him to enter. Kick out that rascal, wrote Baba, and then said to Megha, you are a high caste Brahmin and I am a low Muslim. You will lose your caste by coming here. Go get away. Hearing these words, Megha began to tremble. He was wondering on how Baba knew about it. He stayed there for some days, serving Baba in his own way, but was not convinced. Then he went home. After that, he went to Trambak, that is Nasik district, and stayed there for a year and a half. Then again he returned to Shirdi. This time, as the intercession of Dada Kelkar, he was allowed to enter the masjid and stay in Shirdi. Sai Baba's help to Megha was not through any oral or instruction. He worked upon Megha internally, though his mind with the result that he was considerably changed and benefited. Then Megha began to look upon Sai Baba as an incarnation of Shiva. In order to worship Shiva, Bila leaves are required, and Megha used to go miles and miles every day to bring them and worship his Shiva, that is Baba. His practice was to worship all the gods in the village and then come to the masjid, and after saluting Baba's Gadi, he worshipped Baba, and after doing some service, drank the washing of Baba's feet. Once it so happened that he came to masjid without worshipping God Khandoba, as the door of the temple was closed. Baba did not accept his worship and sent him again, saying that the door was open then. Megha went, found the door open, worshipped the deity, and then returned to Baba as follows. Janjas Bath. On one Makar Sankranti, Megha wanted to besmear the body of Baba with sandal paste and bathe him in the Janjas water. Baba was first unwilling to undergo this operation, but at the repeated request he consented. Megha had to traverse a distance of 8 kos to bring the sacred water from the Gomati river. He bought the water, made all preparation for the bath, and at noon and asked Baba to get ready for the same. Then Baba asked him to be freed from his bath, saying that as a fakir he did not know nothing to do with Janjas water, but Megha didn't listen. He knew that Shiva is pleased with the bath of Janjas water and that he should give the Shiva that bath on an auspicious day. Baba then consented and came down and sat on the pad, that is a wooden board, and protruding his head said, "Oh Mega, do at least one favor. Head is the most important organ of the body, so pour the water over it, and it is equivalent to full or whole bath." "All right," said Mega, and lifted the water pot up, began to pour it on the head, but in doing that he was much overwhelmed with love when he cried out, "Har Gange," and emptied the pot on the whole body. He kept the pot aside and began to look at Baba. But to his surprise and amazement, he found that Baba's head was the only drenched, but the body quite dry. Trident and Pindi. Mega worshipped Baba in two places. In the masjid, he worshipped Baba in person, and in the Wada, Baba's big picture given by Nana Sahib Chandorkar. This he did for 12 months. Then, in order to appreciate his devotion and confirm his faith, Baba gave him a vision. Early one morning, when Mega was lying deep down in his bed with eyes closed but internally awake, he saw clearly Baba's form. Baba, knowing him to be awake, threw akshata, that is rice grains marked red with kumar, and said, "Mega, draw a trident," and disappeared. Hearing Baba's words, he opened his eyes, but did not see Baba, but saw only rice grains spread here and there. He then went to Baba, told him about the vision, and asked permission to draw trident. Baba said, "Did you not hear my words asking you to draw the trident? It was not vision but a direct order, and my words are always pregnant with meaning and never hollow." Mega said, "I thought you woke me up, but the doors were closed, so I thought it was just a vision." Baba rejoined, "I require no door to enter. I have no form nor extension. I always live everywhere. I carry on as the wire puller all the actions of the man who trusts me and merges in me." Mega returned to the Vada and drew a red trident on the wall near Baba's picture. Next day, a Ramdas Bhakta came from Pune, saluted Baba, and offered him Pindi. That is an image of Shiva. At this time, Mega also turned up there. Baba said to him, "See, Shankar has come to protect him now." Mega was surprised to see Pindi following trident immediately. Then after, in the Vada, Kakasai Dikshit was standing with a towel in his head and having bath, and was remembering Sai when he saw a Pindi before his mental vision. While he was wondering about it, Mega came and showed him the Pindi presented to him by Baba. Dikshit was happy to know that the Pindi exactly tallied with the one he saw a few minutes in his vision. In a few days after drawing the trident was complete, Baba installed the Pindi near the big picture which Mega was worshipping. The worship of Shiva was dear to Mega, and by arranging the drawing of trident and the installation of Pindi, Baba confirmed his faith. After continuous service of Baba for many years, doing regular worship and arti every noon and evening, Mega passed away in 1912. Then Baba passed his hands over his corpse and said, "This was a true devotee of mine." Baba also ordered that at his own expense that the usual funeral dinner should be given to the Brahmins, and this was carried out by Kakasaheb Dikshit. Bo to Sri Sai, peace be to all.